Benin. I'm a professor of environmental management and toxicology. And I'm also the program director of the Joint Universities Preliminary Examination Board, or JUPEB. And that's why I'm here in my office, because we've been operating, strike or no strike, we have been operating because we are not, they are not ASUU.
Prof, as quickly as we can, it's been over 100 days since ASUU has been on strike, and consequently, of course, halting all academic activities in all Nigerian universities. Prof, what exactly is the latest development?
Well, first, I can't tell you exactly what the latest development is, other than what we hear, in the news. And occasionally we go to our chapters here for briefings, etc. But why not an ASUU? I'm a member, but I'm not one of the officials. The much I can say is this: nothing. We have not made any progress, and it's been the same thing. It's obvious that the federal government is not interested, because at this point in time, they are only interested in their politics. They don't care, because most of their awards are abroad, or in some other societies where they can do their own thing without suffering the same things that the sons and daughters of the other part of Nigerians are suffering. So I can tell you, we haven't made any progress. There is no agreement that I'm privy of at this point in time, and they just don't give a damn. And I can also say that we, the ASUU members, are really not interested in going back to the classroom anytime soon, because you can't impoverish us. You can't make it, seem like once you decide to be an intelligent person and you want to pursue academics and end up as a lecturer or as a professor, then automatically you're going to be poor. So that's not reasonable, and it cannot. It doesn't make sense in any part of the world for you to devalue the brains of the society, like Nigeria is doing. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is working with their head, not legs, because everything in Nigeria as of now is virtually upside down. Good is bad and bad is good. And that is the only explanation for why you are going to allow millions of Nigerian students to be home for this long and without doing anything decisive. We don't even have a president, as far as I'm concerned. Buhari is asleep. He doesn't even, it doesn't know what is going on. What is this situation at this point in time calls for a press conference by the president, because this is too important. But instead, he's not saying anything. Nobody is saying anything, and the whole system is as if they want it so as not to disrupt their political events that is ongoing now. And I think they don't just care. And that is a very sad situation. I can tell you, it is very, very, it's laughable in the eyes of the international community that the whole federal system, university system will just collapse for this long without any solution.
All right, Prof. We understand that there are a lot of demands from the union as regards the welfare of its members and also the universities, right, across the country. Yeah. Should I take that again, sir?
Yes. Yeah. That what?
Yes. What I'm saying is this: that we understand that there are lots of demands, right, from the union. Quite a number of demands from the union as regards the welfare of its members.
Yes.
right? And of course, the universities across the country as well, right?
True.
Yeah, so I want to ask, is strike action by the union the only way out of this?
Well, how else do you think we can? Well, I can tell you this, and I may have some slight reservation, saying this. We've been striking for so long and not making any headway, any significant headway. There's some results at some point in the past. In an ideal situation, we should lobby. We should lobby the power brokers. But unfortunately, we don't have lobbyists here. We don't have lobbyists. If this was in the United States, where I spent a significant part of my own, professional, career, it won't happen. Yeah. Because even if it does, there are lobbyists who can produce results within a short time. Unfortunately, we don't, and that is just simply the reason why we keep going back on strike. You see, if you're fighting a cause and you don't get results, and there are no other viable alternatives, basically you are going to continue to do the same thing until you believe that something happens. To me, this time around, my prayer is that the strike doesn't continue, it doesn't repeat itself again. This should be the very last ASUU strike we should experience, at least in the next decade or more. If and only if, number one, we can stick to our guns with the lecturers, number one, and two, get result. Because if you do not address the welfare of the members, we are not going back. Never. Even if it's going to take 1 year, we'll stay in the trenches, we'll suffer, but we don't want this thing to continue anymore because the impact is too negative for us at the local and at the international levels.
All right, Prof. As an academician, of course, do you think this would not have some serious negative impact, right, on the education sector and even the students at large?
Oh, certainly. Oh, very, very, very. I mean, number one, it is no coincidence that the Nigerian universities are not even rated, even the first 1,000. We are so poorly rated internationally because we can't measure up. Today you're there, tomorrow you're out. Universities are universal. Do you think any professor in the United States or even in Ghana will want to come and take sabbatical leave in Nigeria, where if a professor of 30 years experience is any less than a dishwasher in the United States, while our politicians or politricians, are earning more than the US president? So our remuneration is so low that it can never attract anybody coming from outside of this place. As a matter of fact, that we continue to teach here just shows that we are patriots. We are the real patriots of Nigeria for taking such low wages and continue to do what we are doing. Now, that's part of it. Apart from our rankings that is so poor as a result of the poor funding and the remuneration, to tell you the truth, it is affecting research. We can't do research. I have students that are doing PhDs that were working on their research, and suddenly, the strike came along. So the students cannot continue. We are also not happy staying at home, because notwithstanding the fact that we are academics, we are thinkers, we are students, we are lifelong students, we are always researching. For instance, during the time that we had the COVID-19 in 2020, we were also on strike. While our counterparts in developed countries were in the laboratories, researching and trying one thing or the other to provide solution, where were the Nigerian virologists, and health scientists? We were at home, doing nothing, So it's affecting us, it's affecting the students, it's affecting our the ratings. In fact, it's getting to a point whereby if you tender a certificate from Nigeria, you will not be taken seriously. They may not even want to give you, the opportunities that they used to give. It's like when, sometime in the past when the Indians that were migrating to Nigeria, to teach in secondary schools and the rest, if they had PhDs, they were not being paid like PhDs because their PhD were not valued like those of UK or elsewhere. And that is where we are heading now. A time is going to come that a PhD, or a master's degree holder, may not be able to get admission into a PhD program outside of Nigeria because our degree is getting watery by the day with this incessant, strike and breakage in academic activities. It's very, very sad. Universities are universal. There's supposed to be cross-cultural, international exchange. The papers, the articles that I write are read by people from all over the world, and so we also read papers from elsewhere. Now, what is happening is that we are localizing our universities. We are churning out students that are of low quality, and Nigeria cannot develop, with this state of Nigerian education, because most of the ideas that keep society progressing, emanates from the four walls of universities. A politician, and a senator has no idea about most of the our Nigerian senators, that is, because most of them are not, they are not, people with good education, including our president that cannot even produce a secondary school certificate. That is why we are where we are. It is the intellectuals that research and provide solutions for most things. And when you just deal with them like they are nobodies, then it means that we're not ready for any kind of development. To tell you the truth, the way we are right now, except we turn around, we are going to, in fact, we're already worse than, most African countries, despite the fact that we are the largest. In fact, Nigeria is the giant, the giant fool of Africa, not the giant of Africa, but the giant fool of Africa, because we have so much potential, and because we have been, caused by poor leadership at all levels. We are not making progress, and people are emigrating. As a matter of fact, I'm advising some of my bright students to go abroad, to get the hell out of Nigeria, because there is nothing for them here. I cannot study here and suffer for so long, all my life. I'm 5 years from retiring. The salary that I take home is less than that of a dishwasher with a primary 6 in foreign countries. And our politicians, not politicians, politicians they are going home with millions every month. Even people that work in the ministries are earning more money than professors. I was a professor in the United States. I was earning $10,000 a month. I came back to Nigeria and I'm earning less than $700, a month. Look at the discrepancy. You can just see that, except by way of being patriotic, there is no reason why I should be here. Suffering, and you can't even dream about buying a 5-year-old car. You have to buy junks. And if a tire is, if you lose a tire or two and you try to replace them, you have already messed up your budget for the entire month. And then you expect me to go and be training PhDs and be going to class and doing research and churning out graduates? No. Something has to happen. And it's unfortunate. It is because of the fact that the kinds of leaders, political office holders we have peanut brains. They don't have much of any education. They have no value. They are only interested in stealing. And that is why we are where we are. Look at the amount of money that was stolen by I think it's the man in charge of is it the I've forgotten his name.
In Rivers State.
Beg your pardon?
In Rivers State.
No.
Or the Accountant General.
The Accountant General of the Federation. The money he stole is enough to address most of our problems. 80 billion. You know, I mean, and that is the one that we know. You know, I mean, so if one man can steal that much money, where were they when all of this was happening? And look at how much all of these, you know, people are spending to buy forms. 100 million. You know, and nothing is happening. This administration accepts everything, you know, accept everything, you know, and anything. And that is why, you know, even though they're talking about corruption, dealing with corruption is more now than anywhere else. You tell me how even a minister can come up with 100 million, you know, naira to buy form, you know, a presidential form, you know, and then the so-called EFCC will not go after them. You heard about the politician that did the primaries, you know, I think it was Kaduna State, and because they didn't vote for him, you know, he wanted them to return all the money that they gave him. Because it's money politics. Yeah. They steal so much money and they buy votes and they go in there, they recoup their money, and then they just send their children to different parts of the world, you know, using our oil money, and then just ignore the poor, the masses. Say, to hell with you people. We don't care. People can stay at home for 2 years. At least my children are in the US or Ghana. Nigeria spends more than $1 million, you know, paying school fees for their children in Ghana. Just imagine, you know, I'm talking about in a year. I heard that some time ago. Just imagine if that you know $1 billion, you know, I mean dollar is spent here in Nigeria. So quite frankly, it's insane. It's insane. And what I think, and if you look at it from the standpoint of a student is supposed to graduate in 4 years, you know, will now be thinking about, in fact, you cannot predict when you are going to graduate if you enter any federal university, federal or state university in Nigeria, because your graduation date is a function of A, which is, you know, ASUU strike, you know, because ASUU strike, it can go for 1 week, it can go for 1 month. Now it is going, you know, it's approaching 3 months, and who knows how long it is. So you are retarding the progress of our students, of our children, you know, and then in the process of staying at home and not doing anything, many of them go into kidnapping, they go into all kinds of crimes. Many of the women become prostitutes, you know, and then you create so much, you know, need to stay away from federal universities. But then if you look at the alternative, which is the private universities, many of them are not even very viable. I can tell you this, you know, but there are some very good ones, and you have to pay through your nose. How many people can afford that? Only the politicians, you know, that are stealing our monies here and there, you know, the average person cannot, you know, and that is the danger of what we are doing right now.
All right, Prof. I understand your pains and understand from the angles you're actually speaking from. It's actually painful, but it seems to me that beyond just the remuneration of the member of university lecturers, you know, across all universities, there are other demands also from ASUU, which I think may border around the improvement of the university system. What's your reaction to that, sir?
The improvement of if you studied in any of our Nigerian universities, you will weep.
I actually did, sir.
Yes, okay, yes, and you know how bad things are. You want to go to a toilet, even, let me just use that example. You want to go to a decent toilet within the university system, you hardly find it in most schools, except if they are private schools. the infrastructural decay is unimaginable. And to tell the truth, classrooms, all of these things affect performance. It affects, I mean, if you see the number of students, in some lecture theaters, you can't even move. Some people have to stay outside the window, to be taking their notes. So there's a need to improve. The fact is that the federal government should not be chewing more than they can swallow. And in the meantime, they are still creating universities. They just approved 6 medical universities in each of the geopolitical zones. And then they approved another, I think, 12 private universities. Now, that of the private universities doesn't bother me. If you can afford one, and you can make it as good as you can privately, that's fine. To compete with the federal universities, fine. But for the federal university, the government-funded universities, don't create universities when you have not even taken care of the ones that are there right now. I mean, we have demands for universities, but for God's sake, federal government should get out of creating universities, when they can't even take care of the existing one. And then guess what? You don't want to charge school fees. You're afraid, the federal government is afraid to charge school fees. And I must say this sadly, the ASUU doesn't want the federal government to charge school fees. And that's where the conflict really is. And the truth about it is that there is nothing good that comes cheap in life. There is no reason why, universities at this point in time, the federal university shouldn't be paying tuition. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, the way to solve this ASUU problem right now is that the federal government should even just reduce the subvention to the public, to all public universities by 50%, and then tell the respective universities to introduce some school fees so that they will source for the remaining aspect, source for the other funds that they need to transform their university. Just give them half of the school fee. Tell them to start charging some modest, school fees, and you will find that most of this agitation will end. We have to face the truth. The Nigerian government cannot fund all these universities. Yeah. They don't have the funds, particularly now that we're still operating a mono economy, and we are at the mercy of the price of oil in the international market. So the truth is that charge some modest school fees, but in order to prevent the poor people from affording the school fees, make sure that there is a loan scheme guaranteed by the federal government. That is what is done in most rational societies. Even in the United States, where that is a rich country, school fees is not free. They give scholarship to the good ones, they give grants here and there, but you must pay your tuition. I studied in the United States and I paid, and you must pay. Right now that we have social, national ID, you can track everybody. If you want to get a loan, you should have your national ID, and they can track you, and you must have somebody to guarantee, to start to shorty that, so as not to cut off people or get people who are not rich from attending universities. So introduce school fees, tuition. And I disagree with ASUU. I'm an ASUU member. I've always disagreed with all my ASUU people. You must charge school fees. Nigeria is not that rich. Even if it's that rich, it's immaterial. If you are going to get a degree that is your meal ticket for life, you should pay for it. That is when you work hard. As a matter of fact, in the United States, it's been shown that students who take loan, their dropout rate is lower because they work hard and they want to make sure they get their value for their money because they know they are going to pay back. So in Nigeria, let us stop chasing shadows. They must reduce, the federal government, in order to be able to afford to fund this school, reduce the subvention by half, then give the vice chancellors the freedom to set school fees, to get the other additional money to run the universities. And for the students that will not be able to afford it, give them loan. And you will find that there will be no more ASUU, crisis. The universities will be running, in very good ways, but without interruption henceforth. But for right now, the salaries they are paying, the salary they are paying the lecturers right now is laughable, and it should improve significantly. If you don't pay me at least 2 million naira a month, with at the very least, as a professor to go back, then basically, you're not ready to get the best out of me. And if I have to speak for myself, I will not go back to the university system if you don't pay me at least a minimum of 2 million naira a month. Because I'm worth way more than that. I've earned about 4 times that amount, when I lectured in the United States. So I don't care what anybody says. We have to change this and make this the last, ASUU strike by introducing school fees and introducing some kind of loan scheme so that we stop chasing shadows. You have to pay for very valuable things. And education, no matter how much you spend on education, you will get it back, 100-fold in your lifetime. So if any amount of school fees you pay, it's worth it, because that's just what it is anywhere in the world.
All right, Prof. Even as we come to the end of this interview, I want to ask this very last question. This very last one, based on the agitation of the union, right, and the reaction of the federal government, because from what you have explained, I do not think the federal government is responding. Rather, they are reacting, right?
Yeah.
And do you think that there can be an end in sight?
Well, yes and no. No, if things remain the way they are and nobody is doing anything. But yes, if those who are hurt the most, do something. You see, Nigerians, we talk and we don't act. If you have 2 children in the universities and they are home all this while, some of them are already prostituting, some are already getting into crime and stuff like that. As parents, they should mobilize and confront the government. And then for the students should rise up. Of course, they have been doing a fair amount of that. It's just that they are not coordinated. I know that University of Benin students have demonstrated even 2 days ago. They blocked, the Benin Lagos road and stuff like that. And there have been cases like that. They are all sporadic. They are not coordinated. Yeah. The students should prevent any major development, and even the convention that is going to happen, it's going to take place. They should disrupt it. The students should disrupt it. If they want to stop this strike, they should ground this country, make things, come to a standstill, and then supported by their parents. Parents cannot sit down, and not doing anything. If I have a child that is supposed to graduate and you have 1 semester and now you have wasted 1 semester, what are you doing sitting down at home? You should talk about it. You should coordinate and demonstrate. And if they do that, believe it or not, we'll go back to classroom very, very soon, because you need to force the government. The government is not responding because most of their children are not here. Yeah. So that is the thing. So those people who have children should get involved. They should coordinate and demonstrate. The students should go and block the political events going on right now. They will get a solution immediately. But if we remain the way we are, believe it or not, by this time next year, we'll be home. And you know what? I don't give a damn. I am not going back to school. I'm not teaching until they do something about our package, which is the #1 thing. That of the IPs and the UTAS and all of that, that's secondary as far as I'm concerned. The main issue about this strike is that our remuneration is deplorable, and it can no longer take us. And they must increase it significantly, but at least 3-4-fold. In fact, at least a professor should be earning nothing less than 4 million a month, ideally. But say yes, because we don't have so much money, if you increase it, to a reasonable extent, where at least I can go home with at least 2 million naira a month in the present dispensation, I'll manage it and I'll go back to school. Other than that, we ain't going nowhere.
All right, Prof. From your explanation, honestly, I think the members of the union are resilient and will remain steadfast until their yearnings are ahead. Right. Thank you so much, Prof, for making our time to speak with us. We hope that when next we call you, sir, you will oblige us. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best and wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I like the opportunity to at least express my own opinion.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye.